Alright, I'm Smig and I'm here with the second part, the killer part of our Getting Started in Dead by Daylight series. Basically, this is a series dedicated to people that are new to the game. I get questions from friends or from viewers all the time, basically saying, hey, I'm new to the game. It's just intimidating with all these perks to know where to go with my blood points, to figure out what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to level up. People don't really get all the nuance that goes into it, the teachables, those sort of things. So we're here to kind of clear up some of that, explain at least a very 1-2 step process on where do I start, where do I go next, just to get you going in the game. So recommendation as always for new players, get into those tutorials and the survive with bots or kill with bots, earn those blood points, learn the basics, and unlock David and the Wraith. Once you've done that, I'd recommend jumping over and just taking a look at a blood web. You don't have to waste any blood points if you don't want to, but just kind of look at like the different tiers, how the colors line up with cost, what they do, and just kind of see how the blood webs kind of run. When you're going to be unlocking perks, offerings, add-ons, items, depending on the role in the web, make sure you grab the perk you want right away. Early on there's only going to be one option, later on there'll be 2, 3, 4 options. Grab the perk you want early, even if it's a little bit more expensive. We want to start growing that pool of perks and getting perks we want, not perks that we don't. So make sure you get a perk and then kind of fill out the web however you'd like from there, whether it's going with all the browns to go as cheap as possible and get farther in the webs, or if you're grabbing good stuff, that's up to you. But make sure you get those perks and don't miss out on perks during a web, because it's just going to prolong the process of earning all of your perks. Now when it comes to actual killers to start out with, to play, we're going to jump over to custom games here so I can kind of explain my opinion on the best starters. Basically, if you are a console player, you're going to have kind of a couple of the beginner free killers. I think you have 5 here, the top 4 in Huntress. If you are on console, you have some extra options, one of which is the Doctor. So we'll start out with the beginner killer that I recommend for everyone, and then I'll jump into the Doctor, because if you do have the Doctor free, that is my absolute best recommendation for killer. So my recommendation is the Hillbilly. Some people like the Trapper or the Wraith. The Nurse and the Huntress are kind of different types of killers, ranged or just very unique with their blinks. I don't recommend you start with those. You're going to want to have a killer that is going to be M1ing or RT, basic attacking, more of the time than not. Hillbilly does have the chainsaw power, so it gives you some extra options there with a one-shot power, but he gives you a lot of map mobility. So basically his ability is a chainsaw that allows you to sprint across the map. It allows you to cover a lot of distance, check on gens, and also get some one-shot down. So that's something that'll be good to learn, but even if you're just using it to cross the map, which we'll demonstrate in some videos later, that's helpful. From there, he also has 3 good or great perks. He has Enduring to help you kind of eat those pallets, take those pallet stuns, and speed things up, get back in the chase faster. So that's a very helpful perk. He has Lightborn, which if you run into a lot of flashbangs or flashlights, it makes you immune to those. That may not be super useful early on, but it can be useful down the line. And then Tinkerer is an info perk that when the generator gets to 70% progress, there's a loud notification, so you can go in and contest that gen, but it also makes you undetectable, which is basically stealth, so you can sneak up on people, and these are just fantastic perks to start out with. So good perks, decent ability, and you can still play him as an M1 killer or an RT, right trigger killer, and just hit people with your basic attack, but you also have that insta-down ability as well. So my recommended build for him is use Tinkerer as well as Enduring, which are his perks, his teachables. They're both very good. And then I would also add in Noed, or your other option is Jolt here. Both of them require a basic attack, so don't synergize great with his chainsaw, but this is kind of a second chance perk once the gens are done, or Jolt would help you slow down those gens as you're going. I think it's just more useful to have Noed, even though survivors are going to hate me for recommending this. And then the other perk I'd run, which is now a base kit kind of generic universal perk, is Fearmonger. That came from the Demogorgon, but that's now in the universal pool, and this basically keeps survivors from using any of their dead hard, sprint bursts, or other exhaustion perks as soon as they get off gens. They have to walk for 5 seconds to recover that, so it helps you when you're coming flying across the map with a chainsaw, or you're chasing them with your M1, your basic attack. It helps you get those downs quicker, get those hits quicker, without having to worry about any of the exhaustion perks. saving them. So very good perk on him. So that's the base build that I would start with. And then if we are talking kind of that part B, where do we go next for Teachables, this is where I'm going to say play him, level these up, get your perks all tier 3, start saving those blood points and those iridescent shards. And once you have the iridescent shards, I would really recommend picking up Clown if you're enjoying playing Billy. Clown, regardless of what killer you're playing, has 2 very good teachable perks. He has Pop Goes the Weasel, which allows you to kick a generator after you hook someone and instantly damage it so it loses 25% of its progress. And then you also have Bamboozle, which lets you vault faster and block vaults when you vault. So this helps you really shut down loops, and windows are one of the things that really gives Billy trouble. So it allows you to kind of just take that out. You can shred through pallets with your chainsaws, and you can block off windows with Bamboozle. It helps you shorten those chases, and Pop is just fantastic gen regression, and you're kind of going to know where to go with Tinkerer, so it pairs up perfectly. So by sinking your iridescent shards into unlocking Clown, and then sinking blood points into getting his perks Teachable, that would allow you to get a very solid build on Billy with just 2 parts. So I'd probably drop the Enduring and the Noed. I'd keep the Fearmonger. I like that a lot. Tinkerer is great. So then we can throw our Bamboozle and our Pop onto here, and you have a very solid build. This is a build that can take you very far up the grades, and I'd have no issue myself running this with hundreds or thousands of hours in the game. So that's my quick recommendation on where to start with Hillbilly. Basic build, and then if we want to go on to getting Teachables from another character, which one would I get, and how would I eventually build out my Hillbilly build. So that's my free on everything recommendation. Now if you are one of our console players and you do have Doctor free, this is where I'd start over Hillbilly. Hillbilly is a good kind of 1B option, but our A option here would be the Doctor, and not for the Teachables, right? His Teachables can be good in certain situations. They're not fantastic, though. They're not just generic, slap them on any killer. They'll be great perks. What is great about the Doctor is his power. He has a power that provides you a lot of information. He has his Shock Therapy, which can help shut down loops, and then he has his Static Blast, which can shock his entire terror radius and basically make the survivor scream and help you locate them when you might not know where they're at. So lots of information. You don't have to throw a lot of information perks on him to find survivors. He helps you find them. He has some slowdown built in with his madness. Each time they scream, they get shocked. They go up in a madness tier. Eventually they have to snap out of it. It just keeps them off of gens, off of healing, off of unhooks while they do that. So it provides some natural slowdown. A pretty basic build I would recommend on him, though, would be something like this. Let's look through them real quick. We'll start with the most important one, which is Whispers. Whispers, especially when you get it to tier 3, I'd recommend getting this one to tier 3. Lets you know whenever someone is in your terror radius, and then you know to use your blast. So you know that someone's there, you know you're going to hit them, you know you're going to locate them, and you know that they're going to get that Mandus level. So Whispers pairs great with his power. I'd recommend running something like Noed. Noed's very good at being a second chance perk late game, lets you get some kills that you might not have otherwise. So I like that as well. And he is a basic attack killer, so I would also recommend a little gen regression in Jolt, and then a little additional slowdown in Sloppy Butcher. Just makes him heal slower. So gen slowdown, healing slowdown, second chance perk, location perk. This is a very good beginner build. This is one that I would have absolutely no issue running as I play now with hundreds of hours into the game. And if you kind of want a recommendation for a part 2 for the Doctor as well, the best killer I think for the Doctor to level up, get the Teachables with, is the Shape. He is paid only. He's not going to be available with iridescent shards. But you can also just keep searching the shrine for save the best for last when it eventually is in the shrine. This perk allows you to kind of recover quicker after basic attacks, and it's just an absolute monster of a perk on the Doctor once you get to go and once you get those stacks. For anyone that doesn't know, the Shrine is available in the store every week. They rotate 4 perks, 2 killer, 2 survivor, that you can purchase with iridescent shards. So if you don't want to spend money, maybe wait on the Shape and just grab save the best for last out of the Shrine when you get a chance. So my final kind of part 2 build for the Doctor would be keep the Whispers. No Ed's always good. Jolt I'd keep no matter what. It's a great gen regression perk. And then instead of Sloppy, which can be negated by med kits and Circle of Healing and different perks, get that Save the Best for last. And put it in that spot there. So there we go. That'd be a build I'd be perfectly happy running today. So this was real quickly about a 10-minute video with my recommendations on 2 options, one for everybody, one for console players, on basic killers to start with, basic builds that work great for them, and then from there, if you want to start leveling up a different character to get Teachables for your main, where would I go next? So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'd be happy to answer those. I will have some gameplay videos linked to this video so you can kind of see these builds in practice. And like I said, I appreciate you guys stopping by, and good luck in the fog.